Awesome. Welcome. Super excited for all of you to join us. Today we have a pretty cool conversation with Andres. We're going to be doing, yeah, I'm excited, super excited. So we're just waiting for 1 minute for people to join us, and then we're going to start. But in the meantime, Andres, how are you? Welcome back.
Miguel, my appreciation to you and a pleasure being here with the audience and speaking about how to inspire one another. Appreciate it, Miguel.
Oh, I'm so excited because your story is like incredible. And we did a podcast episode, so that's coming soon. Like Andres' story is like very impactful and very inspiring. And that's why I was telling him, you know what? We should share about how you did it and everything. So maybe we can start there, Andres, in terms of sharing a little bit about your background, your origin story, and what happened.
I can certainly do that, Miguel. And but before we start, let me acknowledge something. I want to acknowledge you, Miguel. I know this topic is about inspiring one another, and when I got to know you, Um, you inspire me. So I wanna say thank you for doing this, not only for this live session in LinkedIn, but all you're doing around newcomers and fire, as well as Thrive Pastor. So I just wanted to start by acknowledging all the work that you are doing. So I really appreciate it, especially for my fellow Canadians. Regarding Andres, I have a particular way to introduce myself, right? And the reason why is because we have two personas, right? The one as who we are as people, as persons, and the other one is who we are as professionals. So let me introduce myself with my first and most important persona, which is who I am personally. So I'm a father, I'm a husband, I'm a relative, I'm a believer, and I really, really enjoy working with people and helping people. Okay, I want people to remember me about who I am as a person. Secondly, as a professional, yes, I have written a book. I have worked for corporate America for almost 22 years. I have held multiple uh, leadership roles in different organizations, from plant management, materials management, to supply chain leader. Um, my background in education is in industrial engineering, and I've led the industrial engineering division for a powertrain plant in Etobicoke and Provo a long time ago. So I've done a lot of things in my professional life. But let me tell you a story, and this is part of how we inspire one another. Think about an individual that grew up in a lower middle class a long time ago. And this individual dream was to support his mom, his grandmother, his grandfather, and so on and so forth. So he always had something in his mind about, I want to break the cycle where that individual wanted to be the first professional in the family, and he tried to figure out how to do it. So this person decided to become a professional. During his early stages in life, his mother had to leave the country, so he grew up and was raised by his grandmother and his grandfather. So his father was never present. So the only role model that he had was his grandfather, right? So he was given a lot of foundations from um, motivation, inspiration, values from the family standpoint, and so on and so forth. So he took that, went to university, he graduated, and for multiple circumstances, he ended up going into the United States. In the United States, he didn't speak the language. He didn't know how to network, right? he started working side jobs in order to support himself and the family. And then things didn't work out for that person. And as I'm talking about this, many of you may relate to that in one way or another. So after struggling for around 6 months, he found an ad in the internet where Canada was opening doors for newcomers. And this person, for some reason, decided to take the chance, get into a Greyhound bus, and decided to cross the border into Niagara Falls in Ontario. There, he was given the opportunity to learn the language, validate his studies, started working in entry-level positions in which he started getting that desired quote-unquote Canadian experience, and then got to work for multinational companies, etc. And believe it or not, this person, and for reasons of destiny lives, he's believing, he ended up going back into the US where he tried to stay working for an organization in which he was the cleaning person during the night when he was in Houston, Texas. Right? And he ended up leading multiple organizations, multiple groups, and becoming the best he could become. Right?
That's incredible.
Some of you may relate to that. And I'm sure that story is probably nothing compared to what many of you had lived or are living, but there is a light at the end of the tunnel. And that story is my story, Miguel.
Yeah, like every time you share your story with me, it's like I just get goosebumps because it's crazy. It's crazy how, to your point, from being you just mentioned it, from being like in at the lowest of the lowest, I guess, position available of a company, to now being at very, very high. So it's like that's amazing. And the journey that just like I guess everything goes in circles in a way. So and that is why like I'm yeah speechless just because your story is by far super inspiring to me, and that's why it's like, hey, you know what? Let's talk about it. And you have a framework about inspiring others. So very interested to see and to learn more from you.
That's correct, Miguel. And hey, I'm an engineer, right? So I like to develop systems to keep me moving on track, motivated, and so on and so forth. And that's why we are here today. So I'd like to share with the audience a framework, or my framework, to keep me inspired, empowered, and motivated. So the objective for the next 50 minutes, 45 minutes is for me to share that framework with you guys so you can feel motivated, you can feel encouraged, so you can push forward to achieve your goals. If I have done it, there is no reason why you guys cannot do it, right? So follow a system, believe in yourself, and you will get there. I guarantee that. So with that said, the framework, think about a temple, okay? And as you listen to me and listen to Miguel, if you have any comments, feel free to put those comments on the chat. Miguel, I have no way to see what is on the screen, what people are. I put it on the chat. I only have one screen in front of me, which is the presentation. So feel free to chime in and provide that feedback. And by the way, the success of the next 50 minutes depends on you guys. Your interaction. I want this session to be very, very informal and ensure that we interact with each other, right? If you like to share your story on the chat, something impactful, that will be my pay, okay? If you can write something in there that will help me stay motivated, inspired by your story, that's something that will be very incredible for me and a lot of people listening to this discussion right now. So if you think about the temple, we have a foundation, we have the pillars, and what is supporting that is being inspired, right? And that's why I decided to share my story with you guys, because that's the foundation that we have. The foundation of your inspiring framework is you and nobody else than you. I'm sure that you have something that will keep you motivated, something that will keep you inspired. Think about a movie. A movie has a star. A movie has co-stars. They have the bad guy, they have the good guys, but there is always a good and happy ending. And because you are the star of that story, you can empower yourself to achieve what you can achieve. Okay? So let me share with you some more stories from multiple people that can inspire me and empower me as well. So look at this. Let me start with Cody Lee. Cody Lee was a participant in America's Got Talent probably 4 or 5 years ago. I don't know how you guys are into this type of shows, and I like to listen to this or watch this type of shows because there is always a story behind the people who audition to America Got Talent, and this is a very inspiring story. So just take a listen.
Welcome to America's Got Talent. What's your name?
I'm Cody.
Hi, Cody.
I'm Cody Lee.
How old are you?
I am 22 years old.
Yeah.
Who are you, miss? Who are you?
I'm Mom.
Oh,
I'm
hi,
Tina
Mom.
Lee.
Hi, Tina. How are you?
What are you going to do here for us today?
I've been to so many places in my life and time. I've sung a lot of songs, and I made some bad rhymes. I've acted out my life on stages, 10,000 people watching, yeah. We're alone now, and I'm singing this.
I'm a new judge this season, and I'm also a new mom this year. And
Congratulations.
it's the toughest job I've ever had and the most rewarding job I've ever had. You just want to give your kids the moon, the stars, and the rainbows. And tonight, I'm going to give you something special.
On every mountain, and swim every ocean.
Guys, every time I watch that story, it gives me goosebumps. Right? It is incredible. Autistic, blind, and look what this individual has achieved. Miguel, thoughts, comments?
Yeah, like it's one of those things that it fills my heart with like, wow. It's and those are the things that when in terms of like inspiring one another, is like you don't need to be super extraordinary. You just need to be yourself and share what are you doing, and that journey inspires people just by being yourself. You don't need to be extra like special. Just like, hey, this is what I'm going through, and your people are going to be like, wow, that's incredible. And if you were able to do it, Miguel or Andres, I think they can do it too. So thank you.
Well, this is unbelievable. Hey, you probably know Jim Carrey, right? There is a story behind that as well. So I cannot emphasize strongly enough that storytelling is powerful. I know you heard this a million times, but let's just start with your own story, okay? I'm sure it's compelling, it's inspiring, but most importantly, use your story to inspire yourself, okay? Jim Carrey, long story short, he's Canadian, by the way, and his family was left without a home when he was gone, so he was forced to live with his family in a car for weeks, for months, until he took action and decided that he wasn't going to live the rest of his life that way. Right? He became the star of his own movie, his own story. And his own places. Arnold Schwarzenegger, there is no introduction for him, became a millionaire before he even was a movie star, right? He was a bodybuilder. He grew up in an environment where his family was, or his father mostly, was the old-fashioned way of raising kids, right? Just strong, I do it my way, so on and so forth. He left. He was born, migrated to the U.S. He did so many things in order to be able to live where he was living and being in the U.S. and so on and so forth. Criticized by his accent, his appearance, and so on and so forth. And not going far away, Miguel decided to put the picture here as well. But Miguel, right, was leading a business, a coffee shop business, right, in Mexico. Decided that, hey, I want to pursue better and bigger things in the in Canada. Migrated to Canada. He thought he was going to land a job the following day, a dream job. So it took him almost 5 years to get something that was aligned to what he expected, or the field that he expected to be, or in the role he wanted to be. During those 5 years, crashed between couch and couch, right? The people that he knew and supported him. And he decided to change focus, right? From being a victim to being a victor. Decided to take action. Decided to network with people, right? He developed this, or embraces this coffee shop mentality, networking, which is taking him places, right? And without going any further, we heard in the Newcomers on Fire podcast, and for those of you who do not know Miguel, he runs a podcast, Newcomers on Fire. He interviewed all the people that do interview Miguel. I go back and listen to those podcasts. Carmen Batista, wonderful story, right? She's an entrepreneur, right? Her main mission is to focus on healthy food for babies. Then now she's got her own company, right? I always dreamed of becoming an entrepreneur, and I still think about becoming an entrepreneur. And I listened to her story, and I said, yeah, she's inspiring me, right? And that's the theme about this whole session. How do we keep inspiring each other? We also heard the story about Gutierrez saying, right? His big accent. That he overcame the challenges and he's doing what he loves, right? Thoughts, Miguel?
I love this because I feel that being inspired or being an inspiration for others, like what I'm learning right now is like, I hear your story and it's like, you're my inspiration, but then you're talking about, no, because you're my inspiration. And now like, these are people is inspiring as well. And what comes to mind is that being inspired is how like being exposed to your true potential or what you can accomplish. And whenever you have something in common or something that is like, wow, I wish I was like Andres, or I wish I had like something like he's doing. And by just talking to him, it's like, wow, if Andres was able to do it, I think I can do it too. It's like, so it's the process of becoming also a dealer in hope. So you become an inspiration, you have a story, your story becomes your inspiration for yourself first, then for others. But at the same time, you become a dealer in hope. So it's like, it's a whole journey. So when, Andres, before having this discussion, I was like, yeah, inspiration, let's talk about inspiration. But now it's like, wow, this is a rabbit hole. this is like crazy rabbit hole like we are going through. Like, okay, I'm just wondering like what else is out there, because the foundation is the story. And also the storytelling, how you share your story, how you captivate people. That's another skill set, but your story is there. And what I love about what you're sharing, Andres, is that even though we might have, master's degrees and PhDs and years of experience, that pretty much is the same everywhere. So it's like there is a lot of things that we share and we have in common, and everybody has a lot of education and things like that. But what I like about this is that even with all of that is same, you also have uniqueness. You also have different things that make you yourself, and that's your story, your perspective, your challenges, your values, your principles. And what I see here in common, especially with your story as well, Andres, is that the test become the testimony. The setback becomes the setup. And yeah, it's like, oh, this is great, because to your point, it's about mindset. It's a mental game here, because you can decide to stay in a victim mentality, or it's like, oh, everything is so wrong, everything is bad. Or you can decide saying like, no, the only thing that I can do is to control my actions and my attitude.
Yes.
And on the chat, Andres, I can tell you that Ham says it's so inspiring. That video was inspiring. They are saying like, yeah, your circumstances are not in your control, but how you respond is. The video was so inspiring. So yeah, like a lot of people is resonating. So Andres, I think you are hitting a nerve here.
That's great to hear, guys. Appreciate you commenting on the comments, because I cannot see that. But hey, I thought my story was challenging, and again, let me throw one more story out there before we move into how we build that temple that you see on the screen. There was a guy, right? And I was telling my story to this person, and he shared his, but a very small part of it. And he was telling me how challenging it was at the beginning, okay? Because he didn't have money. All what he had when he migrated here, all the savings were running out. He found a job, and he supported himself in order to save money in two different ways. He told me, I had a job, I didn't have a car, right? I couldn't afford a car. And he said, I used to go to work in my bicycle. I bought a bike, like when we grew up, and I commuted to my workplace. It took him between 30 minutes and 45 minutes in order to get to work. And he also told me that then his wife found a job, and he took his wife to work first on the bike, right? Just picture this. On his bike, she was sitting between his legs, and while he was pedaling and going to work. That was one of the things he told me. The other thing that he told me that really still in my mind to this day is that sometimes he couldn't afford getting some groceries, so he would go to a grocery store, just picture North Rails or Walmart. And he said, Andres, there were occasions where I had to go to the fruit section and get the grapes and the fruit and eat them before I checked out, just to get my belly full, because we were hungry and we couldn't afford a full grocery list than what we had. To this day, I still remember those words coming out of them. It's a mental game, guys. So I want to spend more time. I wanted to move on, but let me spend some more time on this. It's going to take 2 minutes. And this is, I like to think in a systemic way. So everybody knows the law of gravity, right? You throw something up, or you let go of something, and it goes down, right? There is a formula around it, and it goes to go to the central of the earth. That's the law of gravity. While I was preparing for this LinkedIn live session, I came up with something similar. And if you think about what I'm going to say, it will make a lot of sense. I call it the law of life. And throughout history, the law of life, I will consider that the opposite of the law of gravity. And meaning that everything goes up, everything progresses, everything increases. Unless you, and you said it, Miguel, your mentality, your attitude forces things down. But the law of life tends for everything to go up. Think about technology. Think about the human race, right? From inventing the wheel to now going to the moon. Think about the stock market. Regardless of recessions, corrections, and so on and so forth, it always tends to go up. Just go into Google, search any index, any stock, unless it's actually a corporation, of course, but it tends to go up unless you do something. Now think about you guys. Think about your grandparents and what they did and what they achieved. Now think about the next generation, which is your mom and your dad, right? To a certain degree, they did better than your grandparents. And all the circumstances around us enable us to be better than the generation before. So everything in your life will be better than what you've seen in your family. They tend to become better by nature. That's what I'm calling the law of life, unless we do something to keep it down, right? So think about this, and I call it the line of life. And I did this exercise during a leadership program in one of the companies that I work for. And if you draw a line, okay, if you draw a line, think about from the moment you were born to today, and you will have ups and downs, right? So you started to walk, right? You fell, you cried, so this goes down a little bit, but then you learn to walk, and then you run, right? And then you go to school. You fail some grades, but you graduate, right? You find a girlfriend, wasn't the love of your life. Then you find the love of your life, and your curve starts going up, right? So you get married, but obviously you have ups and downs, like any other couple. You find a job that you don't like, so your lines goes down a little bit. You do something about it, and you start going up again until you find that job that you always dreamt of, and so on and so forth. So that's the progression. And if you do that exercise, and I really encourage you to do that, just a piece of paper, draw a line, and see how you are going up and down, and it tends to go up. That's the law of life, right? So all we need to do is, how do we keep ourselves inspired and empowered? So that leads me into the next follow-up foundation.
Yeah.
And that is
your story. Yeah.
Comments, Miguel?
Oh boy, so many, Andres. Yeah, let's start with the law of life. I love it because it reminds me of a book called Abundance, and this book talks about how today a cell phone that anyone in Africa has more computational power than the computer used for NASA to go to the moon in the 60s and 70s. So it's like how today a child in Asia, in Africa, whatever, with a simple basic cell phone has more features and things that a presidential phone in the 80s. So to your point, it's crazy about how sometimes our mindset is so restrictive, and we're just looking at the bad stuff. Instead of looking at the good and everything that is progressing and growing, we just focus on, in front of me there is a weed. but we are, missing out on the beautiful like golf course place that is amazing. No, so it's like that mindset change is super important, and I'm loving this interest. I don't know, like, yeah, I don't want to like do more comments, but I see here also that in the comment says that Vivek, for example, says like inspiration probably comes from within, and then it inspires other people too. Her own inspiration story is trying to get a place in China without knowing the language, and if he can do that there, then he can do it in other areas where he can speak the language. So it's kind of like also it's like cross pollination. It can happen anywhere. So, but yeah, thank you.
I love it. Thanks for sharing that feedback. Miguel, can you still see me and hear me okay?
Yes, I see you now. I see the temple and empowerment.
Okay, good. No, that feedback is great, and again, just what throws wood to the fire is those comments and getting the people engaged. So that's great. So now empowerment. Let me read the definition of empowerment. So empowerment, as part of the foundation in this temple, is when we're given the authority or power to do something. Okay, that's one definition. The other one says or reads, when someone makes you stronger and more confident. And when it comes to confident, is especially when you can control, or when you are in control on your own life, or when you claim your right. Okay, so the takeaway from that definition is two things. It's about confidence, and it's about feeling strong. So in confidence, if you think about it, confidence is a skill, and every skill could be learned. Okay, so if you think about that, what are those things or those factors that may increase that confidence? Just look at that, write it down, and resort to it every time you can. Okay, let me give you an example. When we are ready to do a presentation at work, or when we are going to give a speech during a family or social event, if you don't practice that, you may feel nervous. However, you have the ability mentally to change that nervous feeling for excitement. So when you feel on your on your tummy, when you feel nervous, try to move it up and transform that nervousness into excitement, and that will help you. Comments on that one, Miguel?
I love this because let's go back to the empowerment. When you're facing something new, when you're facing challenges, uncertainty, all of that usually becomes really heavy. And for many people, including myself, it puts you down. And sometimes it's just like, in a boxing match, they knock you down and you're like on the floor, right? That's a feeling, especially coming to a new country. I felt that way like many, many times, in terms of like, you get super excited, you are thinking you are going to accomplish a goal, and then yeah, exactly like that picture, you are like down several times. But what I love about your definition, Andres, and how you're sharing it, is that when somebody helps you feel strong again and feel confident, wow, then yes, exactly, now you're regaining that power, regaining that confidence, and feeling like, hey, I can do this. And the easiest way that I've seen that happens is when the other person is like, hey, I've been where you are and I know it's tough, but look at this, like Andres did it, I did it. And I think that creates just like a chain reaction and a ripple effect that is like, well, you know what, I think I can do it too. And then by just thinking differently and reframing that mindset, you focus on the things that you can control, which, to your point, Andres, there are only two things you can control: your attitudes and your actions. Just it's again going back to what Hunter says, like it's not what happens to you, is how you react and what you do about it. So that's the thing. And in terms of that feeling about nervousness, I feel it all the time. Even though some people say like, "Oh, Miguel, you're so good at speaking and presenting," it's like if you were inside, me and see what happens, you would be like, "Wow, that's a lot." Like it's a lot of nervousness and anxiety and everything. But to your point, Andres, it's just I have made a peace with my feelings in terms of like everything that I'm feeling, it's for my own good. And it's like helping me to move forward. And then I just like reframe those feelings. It's like, it's not some feelings that are going to stop me, are some feelings that are like helping me be more present, more mindful, more fully on. So definitely, if you can change nervousness into excitement, oh wow, that's going to be incredible.
It will take you places. There's no
Yes.
doubt about it. Yeah, good comments, Miguel. And just if you look at the pictures I have on the screen, right? So this guy from Toy Story, and his name slips my mind now. But if you watch this Toy Story 4, I think it is, he's a Canadian character, and he every time he started talking, he says, "Yes, I'm Canada." Right? So and that's going back to the mentality comments that we were discussing about is yes, you can. If I did it, you can do it as well. And I have a picture of Muhammad Ali, and there is no person more confident that I heard in terms of quoting what he says. He says publicly, multiple times, "I'm the greatest of all time." And he wasn't afraid of saying so. And I think that was a way for him to prime himself. Priming is a process in which you warm up yourself mentally, right? Like I like to listen to Tony Robbins, and he talks about priming, so I like to use some of his concepts. So to me, that's how Muhammad Ali primed himself. I'm the greatest, and I'm the greatest of all time. There is no one better than me. And he forced himself to win by saying that all the time. Right? So it's incredible. It's a mental exercise.
It's a mental, and you know what you're saying, Andre, is so important because that brought to my attention something that I remember now about the Bannister effect. So the Bannister effect was this person that run for the first time in history, like Roger Bannister, for the first time in history, run a mile under 4 minutes, and that happened, I think, 1954. Before him, it was impossible. People would say like, "Hey, for our anatomy, it's not going to happen. It's not for humans to run a mile under 4 minutes." But then Bannister, in this case Roger, said, "You know what? He tried and he did it at 25 years old, 3 minutes, 59 seconds, and 4 milliseconds." But guess what happened? After Roger did it, and since then, there are thousands, like almost 1,800 people that have done it. But it's crazy, no? Because humanity hasn't changed significantly since the 50s. It's like we're still, the same body, the same. We haven't evolved to be faster. It's like just the same. But what changes the mindset is like, hey, Roger did it. There is a way. I need to find it. If I cannot find the way, I'm going to make the way. And just by having that mentality and that mindset, boom, it happened. So yeah, it's crazy. Everything is in the mind.
Love it. I love it. That's a great. I heard about that one as well, and it's inspiring, right? So you continue to build this inspiring temple, right? So just think about the foundation, right? We started with a story, their story, empowerment. We talk about the definition and how you can feel more empowered. Now let's take a look at the pillars, and I have 2 pillars for this temple. The first one is, and I'm proud to say this is my concept, is what I call the driver app. Okay, and the app stands for action. The first P is for place, and the second P is for people. So if you relate these to inspiring, there are certain things that we do certain people that we talk to, and certain places that we go to that will help us feel better. So if you can do me a favor, the people who are listening, if you get a piece of paper and write down, not for me, but for yourself, one activity, whatever it is that you like to do or be a part of, that will help you be inspired, motivated, and will help you drive. So for me, I really, really enjoy playing soccer, obviously. When I go and play soccer, guys, I disconnect. I don't think about work. I don't think about what I had for breakfast or what I'm going to have for soccer. I just focus on the pitch, my team, the other team, and where the nets are. Right? And when I finish playing, I feel energized, and I wanna go places, right? So write down a place. If you have, write down an activity. If you have more activities, write them down, please. The other activity that I like to do is going to the movies, and I immerse myself into the plot of the movie and see what's going on. So remember, the driver app, the first letter, the A, is for an action or an activity. What is that you like to do? The B, the place. Write down 1 or 2 or 3 different places that you like to go to that will help you drive or thrive or be motivated. For me, is I like to every Sunday go to church. Once I get to church, for some reason, it's like I get unplugged from reality, and as I listen to what is being said, I start thinking about the message, how I can apply the message, and what is happening around me that will help me achieve my goals. For some reason, that triggers that thought process. So every time I'm at church, I have my cell phone with me, and I'm writing notes. I need to do this week. I need to focus on that. I need to talk to that person, and so on and so forth. And the second key is for people or a person. I think about my mother. I think about my grandmother. I think about my children. I think about my wife. And I think about my grandfather. Right? Every time I'm feeling down, I go to the driver app, and I start following those 3 letters, right? What is the activity I need to do? What is that place I need to go to? And what is that person that I need to focus on? What about you, Miguel, or people listening to the conversation and the concept? If there is anything that you like to put on the chat, that would be wonderful, and for us to read through as well.
I'm loving it because on the actions, I have my actions that help me a lot to go to the next level in terms of like getting into the zone, in the flow state. That's clear. On the place, yes, because I like nature, walking, doing things that I like. On the people and person, my question I have for you on your methodology, Andres, is it people that depend on you, people that you inspire, people that you love? Like, what kind of people are we talking about?
All of the above.
Yes.
All of the
So
above.
it's pretty much people that you're responsible for, people that you're accountable, that you're leading, everything.
Exactly. In the case of my wife, my family is people that I need to wake up in the morning to help them go through the day. So that's one piece. The second piece is my mother, my grandfather, my grandmother. They did amazing things when I was growing up to help me be where I am. So I have an obligation, right, to be better to what they did before, right? So that's the power of the concept, in my opinion.
I love that because you're right. Like there is power in gratitude. There is power in being in honor and say like, thank you so much for like everything you did in my life. I was also raised by my grandparents, and yes, in my mind, like my grandparents are like oof, like very high, and every time I think about them, I smile automatically. Like even though if I'm sad, I think about them, I smile. So I love this methodology a lot. So thank you for sharing.
My pleasure. There are some pictures over there of my little ones. Another activity that I really like to do is being part of this, Miguel. That's why I raised my hand
Yes.
and I said, Miguel, how can I help? Right? As a person that if you look at that line of life, everything tends to go up. For me, is how do we pull people out as well, right? And doing this enable us to do that. And I don't do it because I have to do it. I'm doing it because I have the obligation to do it. I have the obligation, right? So that's how it works. Yeah, that's my grandmother. Those are my children. There's a picture of the movie theater over there and the church
Football.
that I attend. So that's me sharing with you, being vulnerable and sharing a few pictures of my loved ones with the audience.
Amazing. That's amazing, Andres. I love this framework because yeah, here's where you find your power, your confidence, your strength. It's something that it makes you unstoppable, unbreakable, unshakable, everything. Just if you go back to this.
Say, Miguel, time is running fast, so I'm gonna bust through
Yes.
this a little bit. Guys, if you need help, if you want to talk about what you're going through or any help that you need required, feel free to reach out. And Miguel, I really like for you to share my email address if that's okay for people to reach out and let's talk. I have no problems helping. So the G's, that's the next pillar, right? And the G's stand for gratitude and generosity. I added a picture that I saw from Gabriela. She
She's
posted
awesome.
this.
Yes.
She posted this almost 2 or 3 months ago, and I got a snapshot of it, and I said I'm gonna use these for the session with Miguel. Right? Is unbelievable. It's simple words, right? It will take you places, and those places are worth being at. And there is a big difference between gratitude and generosity, right? Generosity is like gratitude on steroids, right?
Yes.
If you think about gratitude, it's still a two-way street, right? Somebody did something for you, and you acknowledge that. Generosity is somebody did something for you, but then you did something back for that individual. But that's the big difference between those two, right? So I encourage and invite everyone listening to this live or later on a recording and see how you can upscale your gratitude and upgrade your gratitude into curiosity and be the best you can be by giving back as well.
A very quick thing is that I have a journal of just gratitude, and I just put like itemized things about things that happen, things I'm grateful, things just fall into my plate and opportunities, and it's like yeah, and it just keeps growing, and of course when you're feeling down or when I'm feeling down, I see it and it's like wow, there is no reason for feeling down. Like look at this.
Crazy. The last one, the last ebook is what I call my self spectrum. Right, this is a weird concept that I thought of, and I called it self spectrum because of 3 things. Right, is what I said. What I call a self awareness, self discipline, and self improvement. So I know we talked about, and I want to take my notes. We talked about the mental game, right? When it comes to the self awareness, what is in our heads is very important. The way we think, what we share with other people, but the external factors that affect our thought process and the way we feel. I was listening to a TED talk, and somebody was talking about what he called the angel cocktail. If you talk about hormones, right, how our brain works, the chemistry, and so on and so forth, he said that the angel cocktail got three hormones that interact with each other and will help you feel uh, up, or will help you, or won't help you feel up and or feel down. And he says one of those hormones is what he calls dopamine, right? So this hormone focus on motivation, focus, and memory. The way you activate that hormone so you feel focus is goes back to my foundation, right? Storytelling, by telling a story to yourself or somebody else that creates suspense, right? You will. When I was going to the story of that guy who was running in a third world country and ended up going to Canada, like you were waiting, what happened next, right? So that stimulates that specific hormone. The other one is you probably heard about this multiple times, oxytocin. Like talk about or tell stories about people going through hardship, right? So that develops feelings like generosity, trust, and money. And the other hormone is endorphin, that will make you laugh, help you improve your creativity, and make you feel relaxed. So when people joke, when they're giving presentations or talking to people, that creates more engagement because your brain and your body releases endorphin. The one that is very dangerous, though, is the cortisol, right? That's the stress hormone. And there are certain things that trigger your brain to release that hormone. So you need to be self-aware of what triggers the good hormones and the bad hormones. So that's what self-awareness is all about, right? And the only person who can help you discover what triggers what is you. Discipline is self-explanatory, right? Is the things that help us progress are the most difficult things to do, right? When we talk about the law of life, in order for that course to continue to go up, you need to wake up early, you need to go to work. Sometimes it sucks, sometimes it's fun. Working hard, extra time, overtime, traveling for work, time zones, you need to overcome that. And obviously self-improvement, right? Just you guys listening to this live session is this you contributing to your self-satisfaction, right? How do I improve myself? And I really trust, as part of the last 54 minutes that we've been in this discussion, that you take one of the things away. And if you took a couple things that will help you be inspired, motivated, either by following the Drive app, or how can you tell a more compelling story, how you can really become the star of your own life, that I would call be successfully, right? Just triggering those two things that will help you be a better you. And if you're doing a favor and continue to put in your comments, what is that was the most impactful in the last 55 minutes? That will be my pay for the day as well. Miguel?
I'm putting that in the chat, definitely. Wow. You know, a lot of people always told me, Miguel, you are so inspiring. And I was like, really? I don't think so. Like, I'm just, I'm kind of like super normal. But it's like, no, no, you're so inspiring. It's like, okay, but now looking at your framework, I see that, oh, I see. Like I'm following up those steps. I was following them, I guess, unconsciously. And I was like, oh, okay, yeah, I have like actions. I have the people, the places, the gratitude, the generosity. I'm very focused on generosity because, to your point, Andres, a lot of people help me so much that I'm just feel responsible. I don't know, like the feeling, but it's like I just need to pay forward. Like I cannot keep this treasure with me. Like I cannot, hid the treasure and put it under the floor just because it was given to me. I need to reproduce it. I need to give it away. So I feel that way too. And now that I see your framework, it's like, oh, perfect. Now I can explain it to other people. I will be like, Andres' framework makes the most sense and inspiring.
Appreciate the feedback, Miguel. And what you just said is true leadership, right? Is people talk about leadership, and leadership to me is about others, no us, right? So really enjoy the conversation. Look forward to some more comments on the chat, and I truly trust that it was very beneficial for some of you, and that you are feeling inspired and will continue to feel inspired. There will be, I call these seasons too, right? There will be occasions where you're gonna be laughing, everything is gonna be good, but there will be occasions where winter is coming and
Yes.
you need the help, you need the encouragement, you need to feel inspired. When that happens, think about this framework and keep yourself, push it forward. You deserve it.
My last comment in the last couple of minutes, I would say, Andres, I want to acknowledge and honor you. Like, thank you so much for being so generous and sharing your framework, your stories, your photographs, everything. It was like perfect. That helped us and helped me a lot just to understand more about this topic. Because before I was like, oh, inspiration, okay, just another word. But now that I see this, it's like this is a rabbit hole. This is like we can go levels deep, and you can just like start unfolding each layer. So thank you for that, because now I'm thinking a lot about it. And what I'm taking from our conversation today, the importance of the foundation of our story. If you have any story can be a great story. It's just like how you share it, to your point, Andres. Like if you make it captivating and interesting, amazing. But if you were like me, that is sometimes it's I will tell you the chronological approach of what happened. It's boring. There are frameworks about people, like frameworks that companies use. For example, the Toy Story movie uses the Pixar's framework. There is the hero's journey that it's found in many different movies that are like super famous just because the journey of how they're telling the story, how the movie is evolving. So storytelling, very important. That would be another skill set to develop for sure, because once that's strong, the next steps are easier. And the last comment that I have, Andres, is the power of community. Because on your own, you can be a burning fire today, but if you're just like a single log burning, eventually that dies. Like eventually, like always. Like if you're camping and you take one log out of the fire, that log goes down. But if you're in a community, that fire keeps going, because when you are up, the community needs you, and when you are down, you need the community. So again, find your people, find your tribe, find that community that's going to help you. And yeah, similar to Andres, anyone has questions, feel free to reach out. Send us a direct message. I can share information about Andres, myself, communities that I know and can help. So happy to help.
Thanks, Miguel. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Andres. I wish you a great day.
Thank you.
And an amazing weekend.
Appreciate it. Thanks, everyone.